struggling to come to grips with reality. Confusion and chaos have become part of me. I seek answers to know where my liberation lies. Only in peace and calmness does that clarity arise. Transmissions of wisdom bring me insights of reason. Let my mind expand to the higher states. My mortality is no longer at stake. Let me hear the wisdom transmissions. The wisdom transmissions. So many voices, so many interpretations. No answers given, only outer temptations. Where can I find that truth inside of me? Realization of what I am is all I'm wanting to see. Transmissions of wisdom bring me insights of reason. Let my mind expand to the higher states. My mortality is no longer at stake. Let me hear the wisdom transmissions. The wisdom transmissions. No more redirection, ending the contemplation. Forget fighting reflection, outer worlds of projection. Internal is the cause, external's an effect, put it on pause. I'm silencing the noise, centering, entering void. Truth is beautifully subtle, the voice without a voice. Heart and mind shall settle, making decisions now, escaping illusions of choice. Transmissions of wisdom bring me insights of reason. Let my mind expand to the higher states. My mortality is no longer at stake. Let me hear the wisdom transmission. The wisdom transmissions.
And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Wisdom Transmissions Live. So today I'm going to be bringing in Athena. We're going to be talking through empathic interfacing. I'm going to be going through again the three tiers, the three phases of that. So for those of you who also want to tune in to Athena, you'll be able to do that as well. When we get to that in just a few minutes, we're just going to be checking in with her, how things are doing. But questions today can be kind of a mix for her and for me. So whatever it is that you feel is on your mind. I can see we already got a few questions already on the chat, so that's great to see. Always happy to see some new good questions. But yeah, we're going to have a really great time today. I'm basically just going to be doing empathic interfacing probably every 2 months, because if I'm doing it every month, there may not be a lot of stuff to report. Athena is not one that's basically traveling the world or anything of that nature. She's very much, in part of the Delphi, the Inner Earth Civilization. She does tune into things, but I tune into things as well too. So we're basically going to make it probably like a bi-monthly thing from this point on. And that way it just gives us more things to talk about when we do reconvene once again. So I hope you're all doing well. We're going to go ahead and get started with announcements first and foremost. So, the Ancient Egypt Halls of Amenti Tour, the Higher Self, the Akashic Records, and the Star Ancestor Initiation, I believe we're almost sold out. So I think we only have a couple spots left for the Ancient Egypt Halls of Amenti Tour. So this is wonderful to see. I've already had a couple people who tell me they're going to be a part of it, so that's great. 9 days, 8 nights tour to Cairo, Abu Simbel, Nile Cruise, Luxor. When we're on the Nile Cruise, again, I'll be doing presentations there. I'll also be connecting with Adronis. So we're going to be on a cruise ship, and you're going to be talking to Adronis. How awesome is that? Private tour inside the Great Pyramid of Giza. So like I said, as I've talked about in previous weeks, Giza is getting a lot more new press because a lot of the new discoveries under the pyramid. We are going to be looking into those discoveries firsthand, and there's going to be no other group that does this when you're going to Egypt. So, you know, for those of you who have gone to Egypt before and you had a good time, you have not seen anything with what we are going to do. Okay, it is going to be very, very different. For those of you who have had connections with Egypt before, we are going to be looking at Egypt in an entirely different way through the group. Right, I have a lot of the foresight of what we're going to be doing, of what we're going to be connecting to, of the Star Ancestor Initiation, of being on board the cruise ship, about what Adronis is going to be talking about what information on the pyramids is going to be shared. This is not going to be recorded for all of you publicly. Okay, if you want to get all the information, you got to join me. So this is where the Halls of Amenti Tour is available. It's happening November 8th to November 16th. You can go to wowtours.de. Okay, that's wowtours.de. Just go there and you can sign up through the registration. Max is the event coordinator, so he'll answer all questions that you have. I don't have that information. I'm the presenter of it. He is putting together the event, so his email and information is on the website if you do have any questions about it. But again, check it out. This is going to be a life-changing experience. I've had students with me in the UK, in Bosnia, and it's all changed our lives, and this one's no different. It is another amazing life-changing experience happening in November. Okay, so moving on with Etherics. So as I said, the Prana bed kits are now back on the website. So you can check out the bed kits. They're right here, print-on-demand bed kits. Okay, so these are all print-on-demand produced. So we have 4 different styles of the bed kits. We also have quilts right here. So again, it is done through an agency, and they basically just do production that lasts about 7 to 10 days, and then they send it to you. So it means all of the prices here, shipping is included. Okay, so you're not paying extra shipping on this. This is extremely rare because when I've done bed kits, we've had to pay shipping because I've stored it in my own little place here as well. But this is very, very different, and the Prana bed kits have also been updated with codes as well too, so they're even more powerful than they have been before. But this was the very, very first product that I rolled out with when Etherics first started, and that is available right now. Plus we have a 25% discount on other products available on Etherics, so check that out. And going to Wisdom Transmissions, like I said, we have services here, private live sessions, 3 questions by email, full body scan, Akashic Record sessions, energy cord attunements. So I've been getting quite a few sessions already, and the bookings are starting to surmount, which is great. But again, if you really just want to have an interaction with me, I really suggest doing the private live sessions. If you're a little bit shy and you just have kind of 3 quick questions that you want to ask me, go for 3 questions by email. If you want a thorough scan of your body, of your energy body, of your nutrition body, of your DNA, look into the full body scan. You want to look into past lifetimes, look into the Akashic Record sessions. If you have 3 areas that you want to have looked at, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, look into the energy cord attunements. So you can check that out on wisdomtransmissions.com. Then we have predictmyastrology.com. So with Predict My Astrology, we have the 3 different types of astrology systems to choose from. You can create reports through Vedic astrology, which I still feel is the most ancient, and most accurate form of astrology. But a lot of people like Western astrology as well too. And Western astrology is good because it helps to uncover your personality. It's kind of like the psychological astrology, right? And so there's a great benefit for that as well. And then of course we also have Chinese astrology. This is actually the astrology of the earth. Because I've talked about that in the past. And as I start looking at Chinese astrology, saying, oh, Well, this is kind of the astrology I was looking for when I'm looking at Earth astrology. And Chinese astrology is very much like that. Okay, so you can choose any of these particular type of astrology systems through your report. We have several different types of reports that's available. Good news is it's all AI generated, and the AI generation does an incredible job because we have the accurate coordinates for your chart. It's all put together. It's extremely detailed. It's well laid out, and it just delivers. So it's wonderful. And you can have as many of these as you want because they're done within 24 hours or your money back, right? So you can check that out, predictmyastrology.com. And finally, we have readings with Brianne, where Brianne is doing sessions right now. She just did a collaboration with another fellow as well too, and so she's getting more attention, which is great. I love to see her busy. So again, you can check her out. She is an accurate tarot reader. She's an accurate crystal ball reader as well too. She's doing Flying Star Feng Shui. Her website again is readingswithbrianne.com. Okay, so let's go ahead and get things rolling here today with our session. So let me just go ahead and just rearrange my windows here for a second. There we go. All right, great. So after I do a short presentation with Athena, then we'll be getting right into everybody's questions that are on the chat. So again, if you do have donation-based questions will be answered first, and then we'll follow up. So please, no personal questions today, everybody. Okay, personal questions are good when Brianne is here with me, which will be another 2 weeks, I'd say. Other than that, please look into private sessions. Another thing I would suggest is the Adronis Classroom. Okay, so that's patreon.com/Adronis. Okay, and you can sign up for a 7-day trial. We do weekly classrooms. We're currently learning about the Akashic Records right now. It's very exciting. So you can always tune into that. Like I said, just have your 7-day trial. Have a free class on the house with Adronis. I don't think you can complain about that, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with Athena today. So first and foremost, I'm just going to put her graphic up on the screen. Like I said, this is not exactly her, in case people are wondering. I have not gone down the inner earth with my camera and taken a picture of Athena as she looks. Okay, this is a rendition of her. I know she has bright red lips, but hey, that's okay. Like I said, it's a rendition, right? Give me a break. So this is giving. So this is giving an idea of the rendition of her, and it's a very appropriate image you can tune into if you wish, because this is very close to what she looks like. Not exactly, but very close. So when we tune into Athena, as I've talked about in previous weeks, because this is the 4th time since about 2024, 2025, since I've connected with Athena. Okay, so we go through a 3-tier system or a 3-phase system, right? And I invite you all to join me if you want to connect with Athena. And also you can connect with her and she can help to answer your questions as well too. It does take a little bit of work. It does take a little bit of practice. But again, of course, it's like anything else that you want to develop within yourself. So we do a 3-tier system where we're connecting to the personal self. We're then connecting to the higher mind. And then we're connecting to the true self, right? Unity consciousness. And we invite Athena along with all 3 of those tiers. And that is, again, how you're able to test the connections of contacts that you have. Because I know there's a lot of people out there that claim to be channels, and 95% of them don't even know how to do it properly. And this is how you do it properly. You want to make sure that you're having a 2-way conversation. I would not recommend connecting with any entity that just has a 1-way relay with you, where you can't really ask anything, where you can't really share anything. It's just a transmission that you receive and that's it. And there's a lot of those. Those are not genuine transmissions. Those are more like mind control programs. Got to be careful with those. Okay, it should be something where you're personally interacting with an entity and you're bringing them through the 3 tiers, just like what you've seen me do with Athena in the past. This is also what I've done with Adronis in the past as well too. And we're going to do it again today with Athena. So, just taking in the photo here, the rendition of Athena. Let's go ahead and just get ourselves nice and relaxed. We're going to do a little bit of breath work first, and then we'll be getting into the 3 phases or the 3 tiers. So, taking a deep breath in and out. Okay, so we're just going to do some Chakra breathing. Breathing in for 4 seconds, breathing out for 8. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One last time. In, 1, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and relax. Keeping your spine nice and straight, just engaging the abdominal muscles, right? So we're doing a navel lock here, where we're just engaging the abdominal muscles. Okay, swallow your saliva. And now we're going into the first phase of connection, just being aware of your body, being aware of your thoughts, being aware of your feelings. And even though you're aware of it all, just come to your center. Just like you're bringing your two hands, putting them together in a prayer posture right to the center of your chest, and just go into that center. And I'm just connecting with Athena right now, and I'm just asking Athena, Athena, I am in my center, in my physical being. Will you join me in this state? And she's nodding yes. Okay, very good. Now we're going to move up now into the second state. So I want you now just to feel like you're moving beyond your physical body. You're moving beyond the thoughts, and you're just coming into your breath. Okay? You're just being aware of the breath. You're beyond the body. You're beyond the thinking. You're in the realm, the cusp of the higher mind. And again, just bring your two hands together in a prayer posture to the chest, and just focus on your breath for a moment. And I ask Athena, Athena, I am in the abode of the higher mind. Will you join me here? And the answer is yes. Very good. Okay, now we're moving up to the third tier. So we're going beyond the physical body. We're going beyond the thoughts, beyond the feeling, and we're going beyond the breath. And we're just being. We're just being still. We're in that state of beingness that is in the oneness of unity consciousness. So go beyond the breath and just be. And just be in your center. I ask Athena, I am in the state of beingness. Will you join me here? And she is here. Very good. Okay, that's the three tiers. Right? Very, very simple. So for me, it's simple anyways, because I've been doing this for years, but it's just very, very simple. The first stage is that you're aware of your thoughts, you're aware of your feelings, but you still come to center. Second stage is you're moving much more into the higher mind. You're going beyond the body. You're going beyond the thoughts, but you're just following the breath. That's staying in the higher mind state. And the third is you're going beyond the breath, and you're just coming right into beingness, where everything is just simply still. And then you invite your entity there. Okay? They can pass all three of those trials. They're a good entity. Okay? If they can't, discard your connection with that entity. So I'm sorry, you didn't pass the test. Blessings to you. Be well. Right? And that's it. So just be careful with that, because like I said, there's a lot of channels that just, they get so excited because there's an entity that's talking to them, but they don't even test them. Right? And that's how people get, get some unpleasant ideas in their heads. And this, like I said, can lead to things that are not so beneficial for them. When we're looking to connect with entities and connect with other forms of consciousness, you want to make sure you're putting them through the ringer. It's very important, because those entities could become something that you don't expect, and that's not the kind of attachments you want to have with you. All right? Okay, let's go ahead and get started with today. So I'm going to go ahead now and connect with Athena now that we've gone through the three tiers. And I'm just going to be asking her how she's doing. and if there's any updates that she wants to share. Kind of feels like she's beaming with some happiness here. Maybe there are some things that we're going to be sharing. Okay, so I'm just going to feel my connection here with Athena. So Athena, thank you very much for being here with me. Oh, her people are now starting to make contact with other humans. Okay, she says we are now starting to appoint more contacts through the Delphi. There are going to be others who we are reaching out to. Some of us have already reached out to some humans as well too, and there are going to be more contacts. Okay, so it's like she's moving forward into like another phase, from what I can tell here. She says, yes, we're reaching out to more people. We're reaching out to more of your people, and we're telling them a little bit more about ourselves. Okay, great. She says there's one contact, I think she's saying like in South America, maybe like Argentina or something like that. It's very interesting. Okay, and it feels like there are other contacts. I think kind of feeling Middle East, maybe India as well too. India, Middle East, South America, well, and then me, North America. So it's like we're touching all continents. That's really, really good to hear. And I just asked, okay, so what are you telling all these other people? We're teaching them about the Inner Earth Civilization. They want to know a lot about the Inner Earth Civilizations. We're telling them about ours. There are people around the world that want to know more about the Inner Earth. And we are appointing ourselves as these contacts. Not just me, but there are others within my race that are also appointing themselves as contacts to tell others about the Inner Earth Civilizations. Okay, so this is where I would say to anybody who may be watching this right now, if you are connecting to a particular being of the Inner Earth that fits Athena's qualities, okay, so her race is basically like an albino race. They have kind of pale red eyes. They have bright white hair, just like what you see here. If you're connecting with one like that, this would most likely be Athena's people. Okay, so that's great to hear that they're branching out, that they're starting to reach out with more people, that there's going to be more contacts. I think people in the past just had some curiosity with them, but I don't know if there was any established contacts. But from what Athena is telling me right now is that they are starting to reach out to human beings, right? A lot more of them. So, and I would ask Athena, what do you feel that this is going to lead to? What do you feel this is going to bring us to? She said unity, family, closeness, a lot more closeness with family. This is the stepping stones that eventually is going to bring humanity together with its internal earth family, right? So there's family here in the earth, in the interior of the earth, that does want to meet up with humanity at some particular point. We know that you're going through your phases. We know that you're going through a very intense scrubbing down period right now. But we want you to know that we're here for you, that humanity is going to prosper. This is what she's saying. She says, this is not the end for your species. This is the beginning. This is something very, very powerful that you're about to move. She's like, you're about to move into the light. You have nothing to be afraid of, right? She just says, get out of this addiction to politics. She's like, this is not what's going to help you. Looking into what these leaders are doing, leave it to them. They know what they're doing. They know what game they have to play. There's a whole arena for that will take care of itself. Work with yourselves. Work with your fellow people. Don't concern about thinking that the shape of your world is based upon your politicians to fix. That's illusion, right? So she's, Athena's people have been around for such a very long time, and they have watched us grow up. And from what I've heard from past conversations with Athena, is we've heard this all the time. Today it's your politics. In the ancient times it was kings and queens and royalty and emperors and priests and all of this and the church, right? Thinking that everybody put so much energy into kings and queens and emperors and empresses and the church and priests, right? And said it hasn't changed other than the modification, right? Now it's the government. Now it's your leaders. Now it's your big tech corporations and so forth. She says the same thing. It's the same thing over and over again. The only way you're really going to see greater change is when you have that faith in yourself, when you start working with the common people. This is what's going to change your life. She says, just come into the light. It's right here. It's right in front of you. But you're weighing yourself down with all of these unnecessary things. You have to drop them and just come into the light. And when you come into the light, you're still living on earth, you're still in this body, you still have your home, you still have your family, but you've changed. You feel better. You no longer have that addiction to rely on somebody else to try to make your life feel better. So that's a trap. It never works. Take it from us who's been watching your civilization since your birth. It doesn't work. What works is the power within you. What works is you stepping into the light. This is what she's saying. She's like showing me this big bright light. It's like, just step through it. Just step through it. What is the light? The light is yourself. The light is your authenticity. The light is you with everything dropped. It's the surrendered self. It's coming into yourself. And now you have faith, reliance, an ability to work with yourself, to take care of yourself, to help others, to be their supporter, to be their helper, to be their guide. That's where life is truly enriching. If you're relying on politics, you're not living, you're surviving. This is very much what I've been saying to people, right? So if you're relying on these leaders, you're relying on these politics, she says, that's not what we're doing. When we're making contact with you, we are showing ourselves to you. We're not trying to be your leaders. We're not trying to make decisions for you. We're just letting you know that we're here. We're letting you know that there is another race that lives right underneath your feet, so to speak, that in time you'll start to be able to interact with. Now, again, from what I can feel is that the Delphi are not going to be leaving their home, but they're going to be inviting people to certain areas of their home as well too, right? So they have a lot of land. It's the best way I can put it because I've seen it personally, right? They have a lot of land. With the Delphi, it just goes out for miles and miles and miles. And they're working together with even, again, other civilizations to reserve a small plot of land internally so that humans can actually go there and actually have neutral ground. Okay, this is going to be a ways down the road, probably maybe around 2040s, 2050s, maybe around there approximately. Okay, but people will be invited to go into the internal area of the earth in this plot, this neutral land that they're basically securing for humanity. She says, yes, this is what's going to happen with your moon as well too, is the guardians that are on the moon is going to reserve a certain plot for humanity to use on the moon. It's the same thing with Mars. Mars is going to have the same thing. There's a certain plot that humans will be able to go to where they'll be able to create a colony there. So they're already making work happen. Through the inner Earth, there will be a plot there. Through the moon, there will be a plot there. Through Mars, there will be a plot there. Through some asteroids in the asteroid belt, there will be some reserved for humanity to work with, to mine, to create colonies on as well too. Those are going to be some of the forefronts of what we are going to see in the future. A colony in inner Earth, a colony on the moon, a colony in some areas of the asteroid belt, and a colony on Mars. That's humanity's future. Okay? And there's going to be a lot more advanced revelations of technology that is going to help you to get to these areas quicker. Not just about the inner Earth, but for the moon and for Mars and for the asteroid belt. Okay? Humanity is going to develop technology that will be able to transport goods, supplies, people to these areas once colonies are established. But she says, looking at the fruits of that would be in your next century. It would not be this century, but next century. Right now you have to build, you have to construct, you have to prefabricate, you have to get all these areas secure, and that's what this century represents. But when you're looking into the next century, that's when you're seeing more and more humans. And I can just hear people groan about, oh, Brad, I want this tomorrow. It's not going to happen, okay? We want a lot of things tomorrow, but what you want and what happens are two different things, right? This is, again, letting you know of the actuality rather than the potentiality. Okay? So that's what's happening. Nonetheless, humanity has a bright future. You think this is the only lifetime you've ever lived on the earth? No, you've lived a lot of lifetimes, okay? A lot of us have. And we always can come back, and we can always do it again. And we're looking at a much more brighter future ahead for ourselves as well, too. So again, I just want to say to Athena, thank you so much for that update, that you're connecting with other humans. Thank you so much for, again, letting us know that there is, again, a bright future for us to get out of this addiction to politics, to get out of this addiction to thinking that your leaders are going to make life better for you. It's not to say that they don't have an imprint in some way, but if we have full and total reliance on them, we're missing out on what we're capable of, right? You are special. You are someone that has the capability to make your life shine, to make everything about your life become radiant. But you have to get into that flow. This is where it happens, right? All of you, not just some, all of you have the power to be self-leaders, self-guides, and self-expanders into something much greater, right? That's what I've been trying to teach everybody here for 17 years. So, anyways, I want to thank Athena for letting us know in regards to the update. I'm glad that she's talking to others as well, too. Maybe she's talking to you. Maybe you're watching this right now and saying, yeah, Athena or one of her race is actually talking to me right now. Fantastic. I would love to hear a lot more about that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and switch gears right now. We're going to go right into questions. So if we do have questions for Athena, again, feel free to put that on the chat. Otherwise, if you do have questions for me, you can put that on the chat as well. And as I said, we start off with donation-based questions first. So if you do have a donation-based question that you want to put in priority sequence, you can feel free to add that to the chat, okay? So let's go to Samar first. Samar says, hi Brad, how is crypto looking this summer? Samar, I've told you, okay? I've told all of you, don't expect great things with crypto, right? Even if I'm looking at it right now, when I look at the crypto markets for this summer, same, okay? Please mark my words. 2026 to 2028, golden time for cryptocurrency. 2025 is not the golden time, okay? It's like a twilight time. So it's a good time to put the seeds, to plant the seeds in, right? To make some small investments, right? Putting money in that you don't care if you lose or not. That's the key, okay? And just letting this grow. It is going to grow. It's going to have ups and downs. Even our economy this year is going to have like a downward spiral, and it's going to go up, and it's going to go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And this year, especially when we're looking at the economy, it is shaky this way for a reason, right? And this is what a lot of people are not seeing. They think, oh my God, Trump is doing a horrible job, and all this stuff with the economy, we're going to go into another recession. So you guys are blind. You're quite blind, right? This is all by design. This is all engineered. This is no more different than looking at geoengineering, right? And mistaking that as climate change. This is monetary engineering and mistaking it as an inflation and a stock market crash and a recession. You're blind if you think that, okay? This is by design. It is meant to flatten the curve a little bit more, and then it's going to bounce back up. It's as I said when I've talked about when we're looking at 2025, we're looking at a time where it's going to go like this, and then it's going to go back up again, okay? And I'm not being a financial specialist here or any that way. I'm just looking at the energies pertaining to the stock market. And I know you didn't ask about the stock market, Samar, but since it's come up in conversation, let's take a look at that, okay? Yeah, I see it's going to bounce. It's going to bounce back out. Right now it's doing this, but then it's going to go like that, okay? And it's going to hit. So I don't see any problems pertaining to money or anything of that situation. It's all part of kind of intentionally sinking a ship and then putting another ship directly to where that ship was. One ship is sinking. Another ship is taking its place in the same location of where it was. And it's being rebuilt. It's being overhauled. It's being remodeled. This is going to lead to the end of inflation as we know it. This is probably going to lead to much to the end of taxation in many ways as we know it. This is going to lead to the idea of accountability, of lost debt, of, again, governments hijacking people's money and putting it into ridiculous things, because the United States is not the only one. You start looking at all these other countries, they have hijacked trillions of dollars, right? You start putting that together in a big pool, you got a great deal of money here that's available for the people. That's what's going to happen, okay? Prosperity programs, universal income, innovations, right? The whole idea of the ending of poverty, the ending of starvation, the ending of war, all of that's coming, Okay, and that's going to be happening as we move closer to the end of the decade. It's going to be great, right? So Samar, crypto-wise, like I said, put some seeds in it, plant some seeds. It's going to be up and down. But like I said, the high times, 2026 to 2028. I keep telling you guys that. It's not going to change with that. That's basically the momentum. That's like 90 to 95% of the momentum forward. It's going to take a lot for that to change. Okay. Thank you for your question. Okay, let's go to open contact. Can you both give an update on how well the clearing of the Cabal deep state is going, and what is the ETA for them to be fully removed? There's no real ETA for them to be fully removed, my friend, okay? So when you're looking into the nature of Cabals, you have different groups, okay? A lot of these groups that were part of the Cabal are ex-Cabal, okay? And they're still going to be running things as we go into the next couple of decades, right? So even if I'm tuning into Athena and she's asking, and I'm asking her about that, she said, yes, it's a transitional period, but there's going to be a lot more lighter than darker, right? So the dark is going to start fading away, but you're going to still have groups in the world that are going to facilitate a lot of these changes. And they themselves are a type of Cabal. So they will not be ending anytime soon within your generation, okay? They're going to keep going. But what's happening is they're going to be less and less harsh. There's going to be less and less hostilities. There's going to be a lot more leniency. There's going to be a lot more open opportunity. It's expansion that's taking place, but there are still certain boundaries. That's how the human race is yet. We haven't evolved ourselves to become completely boundaryless. We're too caught up in crap, right? We're too caught up in all of these conditions and beliefs and thinking that somebody else has to take care of us and that we need other people to run our lives and so forth. As long as you have that garbage in your mind, there's going to be boundaries, right? So it's kind of like looking at this that was a very tight cell, and now it's expanding, and now it's expanding, and now it's expanding. It's giving you a lot more free reign. So that's what's happening. But yes, humankind is still going to be under the shackles of boundaries because we have them, right? Not because somebody else has given you these boundaries. These are your own self-appointed boundaries, okay? So when we look at the idea of, for example, if you're saying the idea of a deep state, yes, of a dark Cabal, they will be gone before the end of this decade, okay? But there still is going to be groups around that is going to be managing a lot of things, right? And I think that there needs to be some culling with that as well too. It's not going to be as deep as the deep state is, but there's still going to be some culling that needs to happen. But as far as like the really dark stuff, right, the criminal activity and stuff like that, yeah, I'd say that would be gone before the end of the decade, right, by about 2030. At least most of it, okay? Maybe about 85, 90% of it. But like I said, my friend, life is not based upon when you're freeing yourself for these cabals. Okay, that's not life, right? I know there's so many people that are just getting so hung up on, oh, these people did all these things to us. Yes, I know. But if you keep putting yourself out there and you want the most horrible things to happen to them, you are no better than they are. That's not the answer. Okay? The answer is to look at all these things, to seeing how they are affecting you, and seeing what you can learn to let go of and adapt yourself and evolve and expand and actually start to live life, because hardly any of us actually live on this planet. We survive, right? Because we're so dependent on systems. It's almost sickening, right? We have to learn to work with ourselves, to learn to live. So rather than getting so hung up on these cabals about when they're going to die, when they're going to kick the bucket, that's not going to end your problems, right? 1 minute it's a cabal, next minute it's a problem with your partner. 1 minute it's a cabal, next thing it's a problem with your job. 1 minute it's a cabal, next thing it's a problem with the family. 1 minute it's a cabal, then it's a problem with your household. 1 minute it's a cabal, then all of a sudden it's a problem with your car, right? Then it's a problem with the kids. And it's a problem with me traveling, and whatever else it may be. It's problems, 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 problems. And we just want to point our finger at something. And that's immature, right? The key here is to look at these things and resolve them. Why do you think I'm giving you guys the trauma transcendence technique for free? Because all of you should know how to do this. This is how you resolve your problems. So I say this every week, but it's the truth, right? So as far as the dark cabals go, by the end of the decade, yes, but that's not going to resolve your problems, okay? And I'm sharing this as well too, and Athena would share exactly the same thing, right? If I'm tuning into her, she's even saying this thing, yeah, give up this cabal talk. Just get out of this whole thing with cabals. Talking about new world orders and talking about cabals and talking about deep states. She says you're just looking at things to put your own insecurity on. Yes, they have done some very troubling things on your planet, but everything is already being taken care of to take care of that situation. You don't need to put your energy in it because you have no authority pertaining to how that goes. Don't involve yourself. Don't stick your nose where it doesn't belong. You don't involve yourself personally with the cabals of the world. So why are you sticking your nose in it? Get out of there. Work with yourself. See what's around you here. See what's in your inner circle. Harmonize that. So that's basically, I would say, we're both in agreement with that. Been saying that for so long, but it has to come out. I have to keep saying it until it sinks in, right? So that's what I can share about that open contact, okay? Thanks for your question. All right, let's go to Nina. Nina says, hi, Brad. Is this true that wisdom teeth should be always removed as suggested by dentist, or is this some type of trick to make us more docile and less spiritual? I have never had my wisdom teeth removed. Okay, so I can't tell you for the rest of you. I've never had my wisdom tooth removed, and of course, a couple of them have fallen out already. But I've never gone to a dentist to have them fall out. Right? Wisdom teeth. Well, again, you have to understand that these capsules, these teeth in themselves, are piezoelectric. Okay. They're like a power source. They're like a vital center for our entire body. If it was not meant for you to have wisdom teeth, do you think you would be growing them? Okay. They occur at a certain particular point of your life, usually around the teenage years. And if we keep them in, mine basically lasted to about my early 40s. I still have a couple in my mouth, but I've never taken them out. Right? They've kind of broken down in that way. But basically, they last during your vital cycle. They're kind of like vital capsules. They're like vital caps. Okay, and that's why they're called wisdom teeth, because you get them at later ages, or later age, I should say, and they can actually help to bring about greater vitality to it. To my feeling, they may be working with the enteric nervous system, or again other areas. I'd have to look into it. So this, if I'm tuning into it, a lot of it may have to do with gut health at the same time. So people decide to get them pulled, but why would you do that, right? Do you think that nature is stupid? Do you think that your body is stupid? That it just creates these wisdom teeth just so that they can get it pulled out for dentists? Have dentists been part of your body? Did you grow an extra dentist out of you, right, when you were born? To think that a dentist needs to come in and pull out my wisdom teeth? No, they are absolutely for a purpose. And like I said, teeth are responsible for vitality. So put those things together, right? Wisdom teeth are bringing about, in that sense, a particular type of extra capsules of vitality. And like I said, I feel it may have to do a lot with the gut. Okay, so no, you do not need to get them pulled out. And I know dentists will talk to you about that, but dentists, I'm not going to go into it. I'm not going to go into a tangent with them. Right? It's just like sometimes I'll have a tangent with doctors, I'll have a tangent with dentists, and I'm not going to go into it. You guys have to make up your own mind, right? You got to do your research. You got to look into these things a little bit more. I could tell you my perspective, but then who am I to tell you what to do with your life, right? But if I'm looking into the Akasha about the wisdom teeth, let me see. Yeah, they're meant to be short-lived. Right? They're not meant to be long-term. This is what I'm getting from the Akasha. Right? When we're looking at wisdom teeth, they're meant to come in at a certain particular point of a life because it represents the growth of something. It may be representing a particular type of activation. It's almost like flora and fauna for something that is activating, for something that is growing within yourself up into a certain point, and then the wisdom teeth therefore start to collapse in that way. It's kind of like looking at a budding flower. Right, it's around to help this flower bud, and once the flower is budding, then the wisdom teeth have served their purpose. It has to do with the growth of our body, and it does have to do with vitality. So, there you have it. Okay, thanks for your question. It's a good question too, right? Um, as you were saying, it's should always be removed as suggested by dentists, or is this some trick to make us more docile and less spiritual? Well, it's not so much about being docile and less spiritual. It's just that you're robbing your body of an essential period with the wisdom teeth because something is cultivating with that. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not a biologist. I can't really tell you. I think it does have something to do with the gut. But something is growing. There's an expansion that's going on when you have your wisdom teeth, right? And then you get older, that starts to become, I don't know if you can say shriveled up, or if it's moved back into a docile nature where the wisdom teeth have served the purpose, okay? So that's what I can share about that. Again, I'm not trying to look at it from a biological perspective, just an energy perspective from what's coming through, right? I lack that ability to talk as a biologist or a geneticist or anything of that nature. Okay, so that is it for the donation-based questions. Let's go up to the free questions here. Okay, Mary Gilling says, hi everyone from chaotic UK. We've had enough. And I say this with the greatest respect, Mary. Good. I'm glad you've had enough, because that's telling us that there is a spiritual awakening. That's telling us that there's a critical mass. That's telling us that the everyday person is getting sick and tired of how things are going, and that is going to bring about such a profound change that it is going to dissolve the very nature of government as you know it to be. So, not with sounding disrespectful or anything of that nature, but I'm glad you guys are having enough, right? Because there are those of us who have been doing this for many years who had enough of it all the way back then. And then there was still a lot of people, oh, it's fine, it'll be fine, it'll take care of itself. I'm like, no, you just wait, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. And it's going to be like a roller coaster where you're either putting your hands up and you're enjoying this, it's exciting, or you're like, get me off, get me off, get me off. My goodness, I was saying that like back in 2009, right? When none of this stuff was really so bad. And now here we are, nearly 16, 17 years later, and here you go. Somebody, get me off, get me off, get me off, get me off. I told you so. Okay? Sorry guys, but I had to say that. I've been saying that since 2009, right? This is going to be a roller coaster. Things are going to be more intense. Money is going to be scarce. There's going to be more disease issues. There's going to be more problems with people with their illnesses. People are going to get much more crazy with germs, being germophobic. There's going to be people that maybe shortages happening around, and more people just losing their minds, wanting to pull their heads or their hair out of their heads. They're tired of the government. The government's going to be overthrown, and a new government's going to be put into place. And then we start moving into universal income, and then we start seeing everything starting to change, taking place on a much more better level, not a perfect level, but at a better level. It's what I've told you guys for 17 years, right? And we're seeing it now. So there you go. Told you that. Told you this time was going to be coming. And this is why I said, why do you think I kept telling you guys and kept egging you on? Get prepared. Start doing your inner work. Start working with this stuff, helping yourself out, because now you can be a great guide, a great helper to other people that are suffering, right? I'm trying not to boast, right? But told you so. Okay? And this is going back 17 years on that. So that's exactly why the stuff is happening right now. It's all part of sinking this old age. This old age is going to die, my friends. You cannot save it. You have to let it die. It's not going to come back. It's not going to be the old hat. It's not going to be the old way. It's not going to be the old regime. You gotta watch it die. And then something new comes about, right? So as the old dies, the new rises. And the new is going to take its place. You are not going to be stranded. You are not going to lose everything, okay? Earth is not going to blow up. There's nothing of that nature. You are just watching the old way of things die out. And the new is rising. And it's going to continue to rise. And like I said, we're all about that here with 2020s. 2020s, this decade, is all about watch the old die. And then bring in the new, right? And this is why we're in the span of renewal right now. We get closer to the end of this decade. we start to see more things crumble and new things taking its place. Right? And I'm not trying to scare anybody or anything of that nature, but I mean, this is how it is, right? If we're so busy looking at the flowers and realizing that spring has ended and here comes the summer and now the fall has happened and now everything starts to die, we become horrified. Oh my God, but those were such beautiful flowers. It doesn't matter. It's the cycle of the seasons. Okay, we are looking at a very big cycle of a season change. The old can no longer run itself anymore. It can't do it because it has been completely and totally littered with corrupt, with criminals, and they're going down. They're sinking ship. You can see it, right? And what's coming in that place? An overhaul, a change, a revolution. The people are waking up, and it's beautiful to see. And I know we have a lot of tough times. But in Canada, we got tough times here as well too, right? We got a person who wants to carbon tax us to death. We have an entire election about to happen here. And you have one person aside that basically wants to completely kill Canada, and another person who wants to preserve it. Okay, and it's going to be the same with the UK. You're going to have a person who wants to kill it, and you're going to have another who wants to preserve it. But you have to see exactly what that represents. Firstly, looking inside yourself to know that. Okay? Thank you so much, Mary. Let's go to Athena. Athena has a question here from Didar. Didar says, hi, Athena. How can I become more tuned with Mother Earth and start talking to her consciously? Okay, so let me tune into Athena about that. She says, spend more time outside first. So just go outside and put your hands on the grass. Put your hands on the grass. Put your hands on a tree. Take a book with you and just find a tree that you feel you can sit right beside. And even though you have the book with you, tune in to how Mother Nature makes you feel. Go for daily walks in the forest. Listen to the birds. Listen to the wildlife. Take in the scent of nature as she purifies you. Nature really spoils human beings, right? And this is what Athena is saying. It's like nature really, really spoils you. She spoils you because you're her children and she loves you. Despite all that you have done to her, she loves you just the same. You go into a forest and you're surrounded by these beautiful trees. You're surrounded by all these flowers. You hear the birds chirping. How does that make you feel? I feel alive. I feel connected and in tune with nature. Then you got to spend more time with nature. If you're spending indoors on your computer, that's not connecting with nature, right? For me to know what the color red is, I have to be with the color red, right? If I'm just constantly wondering what red is, and I have nothing around me that's red, I'm never going to know what red is, okay? If I want to attune with nature, I need to be with nature as much as possible and listen, okay? And tune into nature in that way. This is why you have indigenous people. This is why you have yogis, masters who have become so wise, because they live with nature. Nature expands your gifts. Nature heals your diseases. Nature clears away the cobwebs and the clutter in your mind. That's what nature is designed to do. And you spend more time with nature. And that's how you attune to it, right? So you're attuning to nature by being available with nature a lot more. Put your bare feet on the grass, touch the tree, sit down with a book, sit down with it at a tree, right? And just tune in and feel her, right? That's a natural ability I have. As soon as I touch a plant, as soon as I touch a tree, I'm in tune with it, right? I got that through psilocybin. But nonetheless, I nurture the gifts as I just go throughout nature, just going for walks and enjoying it. I'll go out to the beach, I'll look at the waves, I'll smell the ocean breeze. It's heaven, right? If you want to be in tune with nature, you need to be with nature. If you want to be in tune with the color red, you got to be with the color red. Simple as that, right? That's all it takes, and it's very, very simple. And Athena is saying, with time, you'll start to feel more in tune, not just with nature, but with everybody, because human beings are nature as well. They're no different than plants. We're no different than plants. We're no more different than flowers. We're no different than blades of grass. We're no different than trees. We share a lot of the same type of DNA. Okay, So when you start tuning into nature a lot more, you tune into everything. You tune into all life. But nature is that crystalline energy that tunes you into that omnipresent sphere of beingness. And I've done that. I can speak from experience. It does that for you. But you got to give nature time. You got to go to it. Tune to it. Just be with her. That's the key. Okay. Thank you very much, Didar. Okay, let's go down further. Okay. I'm just looking through the questions here. Here's one here from Julie. Julie says, question, how bad is smart meters they put in a few years ago? How can you get them removed without getting in trouble? I don't really have an answer for that. Back in the day, you were able to do that. You were able to maybe talk to your power company and ask for an analog device than that. But a lot of them don't really do that anymore. Okay, so smart meters, if I'm looking at smart meters, I mean, they're not good, obviously. That's why I've developed things with etherics. That's why you're working with safeguards. Okay, that's why you're working with orgonite and so forth, right? You're working with that, and that helps to dampen a lot of the effects of their EMF. Now, the only thing I can suggest is maybe talk to your power company, maybe see if they do still offer analog-based meters, because you may have a concern about dirty electricity, and maybe some of them will do it. If they don't, look into working something with something like etherics with your safeguards. Work together with the orgonite pyramids we have here as well too. You can work with, like I said, we have personal safeguards. We have environmental safeguards as well too. That helps. That helps to dampen a lot of the energy. But I really recommend utilizing the orgonite, because orgonite is specifically designed to take care of a lot of that dirty EMF, specifically with smart meters. Okay, so that's what I would suggest. Thank you very much. Okay. So Cratius here says, hi Athena, how can we produce scalar energy at home? There's scalar energy. Here's scalar energy. Here's scalar energy. There you go. Okay. So you grab a crystal. This is a selenite one, but let's just say, for example, I have a quartz crystal. Charged. Done. Okay. Doesn't take that much. Okay. The great thing about a quartz crystal is it holds that energy there for you. So working together with the hand of Jupiter, right, with this simple gesture, just like you see saints doing, this is what radiates SCV, source center vibration. Okay. Now what source center vibration, its purpose is to balance everything. Okay. It's not trying to take anything away, but if there's a lot of debris, you know, a lot of, I guess you could say, pollution in your space, the SCV, when it is fully charged, is helping to collect all of that energy back in. Okay, so that's the goal of SCV, and SCV is source center vibration. So when we work with a pendulum like this, okay, this is something that you would get through biogeometry. Okay, this is a 16 disc pendulum. Okay, and if I basically just do it like this, you can get that on their biogeometry website. There's also some other sites that sell them. Just make sure that they have accurate geometry with the 16 disc. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and get it starting to spin, just like this. Okay, and I just give 3 finger links, just like this. Okay, and we're just going to let it go naturally. Okay, and all I'm doing is letting it swing. Now I do this right to it. Watch what happens. Look how it's spinning clockwise. Okay, and I'll stop. I'll let it go back to center. Okay, now watch what I do with Om. I stop? And it goes back to center. Okay? So this is telling you that as you start working with this, as you start developing yourself with simple dowsing, I have a resonant dowsing course on ethericsacademy.com. Okay? This is what's going to help you to realize the power of SCV. It's an Om chant. Okay? It's a hand of Jupiter. These are things that you can naturally produce, and utilizing crystals to contain that. And then as you have crystals around you, create grids. Form grids with those crystals. That'll create more expansion. Or you can go ahead and go onto Etherics, look into our wall arrays that we have, okay, because that has SCV as well too, on a much more potent and powerful level. So there's a lot of things. Creating scalar from your own. All scalar is SCV. It's the dielectric. Okay, it's the dielectric that is longitudinal. And that's what you're getting when you're Om chanting. That's what you're getting when you're vibrating with the hand of Jupiter, right? When you're putting the hand held like this, right? These are all SCV. This is connected to the right brain, okay? The right brain is what's enabling this connection of the hand of Jupiter to radiate the SCV. You can't do it in this hand, right? The left hand doesn't have it. The right hand has it. And that has to do with the wiring of the right hemisphere of the brain. So there you go. Look into that. Okay. Just go ahead and start Om chanting into some crystals. Create some crystal grids. Right. Then you have a powerful bioscalar technology right then and there, working a lot more with the dielectric than the magnetic. All right. Thanks for your question. Okay. Let's see. How are we on time here? Okay, we're gonna probably end it here in a few minutes. Okay, here's one from Jen Carr. Jen says, may I ask what guidance would you give a new person picking up on spirit all of a sudden? I can't see them, sometimes quickly, but I know who they are and sometimes how they died issue in body. Okay. So my feeling is, I guess you're saying, is that you're kind of empathically picking them up, right? You want to have a teacher. That's the most important thing, right? Me sharing this with you on here isn't really going to do too much because there's a lot to look into. What I would suggest, Jen, is that maybe you talk to a local medium, you talk to a local psychic, you talk to an empath maybe in your area, and just start to talk to people, right? That's how I learned when I first started. I was learning about my abilities. I was realizing that these subtle things that I could always do was very, very apparent, and I needed guidance, right? I didn't know how to just go right to Adronis from the start. I had to talk to people. So the people I talked to were online, and I created a group back then in 2008. It was called Saviors of Earth. And I had quite a lot of psychics and mediums and intuitives and healers and channelers that came in, and I learned from them. I was kind of feeling like myself, like a journalist, right? And I wanted to look at these things. I wanted to know exactly what they did. I wanted to know exactly how it worked, right? I started asking all of these questions. That's what I would suggest for you. Usually when we have this ability of connecting with things, you have to learn to ground a lot more, okay? You have to learn to center yourself. You have to learn to follow the breath a lot more. Because if you don't, you're going to get scattered, okay? So you can utilize what I talk about pertaining to breath work as a good start, okay? What I would suggest is holding like a grounding stone, right? Maybe have something like obsidian or fluorite that can help you, that you can basically just help to ground yourself with. But if you don't even want to use crystals to ground yourself, very simple, okay? You're doing this, okay? Horse stance. Okay? If you do horse stance or the sky anchor stance, which is a lighter version of the horse stance, that will ground you to the earth like that. Okay? So you want to learn how to ground yourself. So really what I would suggest, Jen, maybe to start off, is work with the Trauma Transcendence Technique free e-course. Okay? That's on wisdomtransmissions.com. Look at the nav bar and you'll see free e-course. Click on that, sign up. Okay? Then you'll start getting the emails, and you can take part in the 10-day free e-course. That's a good way of getting started, all right? Because we're learning how to ground ourselves, and that's very important. when you're starting off as a channel, as an empath, as an intuitive, as connecting with spirit, especially if you're just starting this whole new journey, go to TTT right away, right? Because now you're jumping miles ahead. And if you start working with TTT and you do it so well, you are miles ahead than the majority of the people on the planet, right? So that is something that I would suggest working with, but I would also suggest talking to a psychic, an intuitive, an empath in your area to be available so that you can ask more questions, or maybe through an online group, because like I said, that's how I started. All right, very good question. Thank you, Jen, and all the best to you. Thank you. All right. I love that question. That's great. I love meeting the new people who are coming in here and starting this journey for the first time. That's great. Olivia, is it? Olivia? If I'm pronouncing your name right. Do you see the possibility of a kind of new area or island possibly made for a new community or colony as kind of a place to test out different ways of living? I have not. No, I've never seen anything like that. Other than the idea of what the Inner Earth civilizations are looking to do to help eventually bring about a plot of internal land, I have gotten nothing over the years about a special island for people who want to develop their. It sounds like a good idea. I'm not just saying it can't happen, but I've gotten nothing in regards to that over the years. Okay, because it's not about that. It's not about having to retreat to some island where you're cut off from everybody else. That's not spiritual, right? And this is another thing that I could say about spiritual. Everybody who thinks they know what spirituality is, it's not. Okay, and I probably shouldn't even use that word about spiritual because it's so it's so out of context, right? A person who thinks you're spiritual thinks that you should not be making money, thinks that you shouldn't even have your own home, thinks you should not have any physical possessions, saying that you should not be doing anything for a living other than just basically meditating all day and chanting Om. And that's what they think a spiritual person is. You shouldn't be after money. You shouldn't have anything that you own. You shouldn't have any home. You shouldn't have any car, right? You should basically just be a hippie. And that's stupidity. That is idiocy, stupidity, and ignorance, because it's not the spiritual. None of us have ever done spiritual work. Brad, how do you mean by that? Because the spiritual is not work. The spiritual is not material. Nothing you have done on this planet has ever been spiritual, ever. To be spiritual is to be one with spirit. That's it. Which means you are completely and totally in surrender. You are not working, you are not doing. Right? You are completely immersed in the one. No one has gotten there. So this is why I say there is no such thing as spiritual work. It does not matter if you're a psychic, does not matter if you're an intuitive, does not matter about what I do. This isn't spiritual work because there is no spiritual work. Spirit isn't work. Right? The working that you're doing is of your own inner being. So we're doing inner work, we're doing inner development, we're offering inward services, expansion services, empowerment services, but you've never done spiritual work because spirit doesn't work. Spirit is, right? So this is why I say that whole term is stupid and idiotic and ignorant, because there's no spiritual work. You've never done it. I've never done it, right? So it's the whole idea of trying to think that, oh, I'm doing all this spiritual work. Really, what spiritual work are you doing? Oh, I'm doing psychic readings. That's not spiritual work. That's psychic work. Okay, well, I'm doing meditation. That's not spiritual work. That's meditation work. Okay, well, I'm working with crystals. That's not spiritual work. That's crystal work. Okay, well, I'm doing healing. That's not spiritual work. That's healing work. Okay, well, I'm working with my inner being. That's not spiritual work. That's inner work. You haven't touched spirit with anything that you do, right? It's the idea for spiritual to have all of this, everything that represents Maya, gone. Where you simply are. You're in that state of self-abidance. You are in the non-dual. Then you are in spirit. But anything that you do here that represents work or service is not spiritual work at all. Never has been, never will be. There's no such thing as a spiritual person. Right? So that kind of debunks that whole stuff about people thinking that you should, be living off breadcrumbs and living off eating grass and just living in a pile of dirt because you're a spiritual person. And just say, let me educate your ignorance for a minute. And you can tell them what I just told you. Because if we're truly looking at the nature of spirit, spirit doesn't touch any of this, right? So you can't do spiritual work. You are doing inner work through your connection of feeling that presence with spirit. But spirit doesn't do work. Spirit doesn't do exchange. Spirit doesn't do exercises. Spirit doesn't do practices. That's all human things, right? We've been doing human things on this planet, my friends. And it's to truly be in the nature of spirit that you simply are, that you are in the non-dual, that there is only the self, and you are that. And that's it. That's the spiritual. So hopefully that debunks that right there, right? You can tell people I said so. They can come talk to me if they need to. So let's go ahead and do one that I'm tuning into Athena right now, and she's just laughing. It's good. Okay, let's go. Let's see if there's one last question that we can end on that's for Athena. Okay, this is going to be our last question. Let's see. Okay. I think that's all. I don't think I see anything else. Okay, well, I'm just going to ask Athena right now if she just has any last messages for everybody. All right, is there any last message or messages that you have for anyone, Athena? She says, we just want to offer you our love. We want to offer you our thanks. We are always open to your communication, but it has to begin with you. Even though we are open to receiving you, you have to want to connect with us. We are expanding our reach right now for humanity across the planet, and if you want to be one of those contacts, just share with us that you do want to have this, that you want to be part of this, that you do want to share in your communication with us. We're here for you. We're always here. We thank you very much, and lots of love. Okay, great. Thank you very much, Athena, for being here today through Empathic Interfacing Live. Again, everybody, I suggest you connect with her. Connect with her or connect with her civilization. She has a lot to teach. I've been working with her now for several years. Had a bit of a gap where there was a little bit of a quiet time, but we're back now. So check her out. Really connect with her a lot more. Connect with her people. This is an inner earth civilization that is open to connecting with humanity. It's wonderful. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. So I'm going to see if I can do another Akashic Intelligence report this week. Last week just wasn't in the cards for me. If you do have any suggestions of topics that you want me to talk about in the Akashic Intelligence report, you can leave comments here. Otherwise, I will look to see if we can get something done this week. So again, thank you for joining me, and I'll talk to you all next week, next Wednesday, where we'll have Adronis come in for another transmission. Blessings to you all. Take care. Namaskar, and may be well with you. Bye for now.